Hi, let's talk about the Sunspot data. And the Sunspot data are very practical and useful time series that is actually historically very important in the study of time series and the overall study. So let's jump right into it. This is where you'll see it in the book. And in there, what we're going to be able to do is actually get the most current Sunspot data. But before then, let's talk a little bit about the historical side of this. So if you go to this URL here, you'll pop into this section and you'll get a lot of information about how the sunspot numbers have been counted ever since the 1800s. So there's this organization out there called SILSO, the Sunspot Index and Long-Term Solar Observations site and organization. And in there, and again, go through, read this as much as your curiosity will take you. But in 2015, they changed the way they count. And so they like to keep track of that here. And so what we have now is called the Sunspot 2.0 numbers. And as time moves on, that versioning may continue. But right now we got the 2.0. And in 2015, you'll come through here and see the documentation of what those changes means. There's a new conventional scale. They changed the way they count the error values. And now, of course, we've got 2.0 and the ability to get minor revisions and major revisions. But rather than kind of read through this, I read through it. It's fascinating. I'll give you a little summary. And this is the guy that originally counted them back in the 1800s. His name is Rudolf Wolf, and he counted them. And then Alfred Wolfer, no relation, Alfred Wolfer came by and he started counting, but he used a little bit different method. So they applied an adjustment. They essentially multiplied Alfred Wolfer's numbers by 0.6 in order for them to match our Wolf's numbers, Rudolph's numbers, a little bit closer. And so one of the big pieces of this adjustment in 2015 were that they just got rid of the 0.6. So they multiplied, they got rid of that adjustment of 0.6 and left the Alfred Wolfer's numbers the way they were. And so if you go to the great Wikipedia, I found in there, it gives a nice little summary. So since 1 July 2015, a revised and updated International Sunspot number series has been made available. The biggest difference is an overall increase by a factor of 1.6, which is 1 divided by 0.6, to the entire series. Traditionally, a scaling of 0.6 was applied to all sunspot counts after 1893 to compensate for Alfred Wolfer's better equipment. After taking over from Wolf, the scaling has been dropped from the revised series, making modern counts closer to their raw values. Also, counts were reduced slightly after 1947 to compensate for bias introduced by a new counting method adopted that year, in which sunspots were weighted or are weighted according to their size. So there's just a little bit of a summary of what those adjustments were, but how do we get the data? And so we'll come back to the actual site here, and you'll click up here at data, and it'll just take us right here to the sunspot numbers. And we've got different counts in here. Again, if you kind of go back, you can read up on what those actually were, on what well, we can just go in here. So here we've got the daily total sunspot number, the monthly mean, the 13-month smooth mean, the yearly mean total. You've got daily estimated values, and you've got this value down here that you can read about. But what we're going to look at are the yearly mean total sunspot numbers from 1700 to now. And so what those are, if you go to the information here, it just tells you it's the yearly mean total. So it looks at all the day values throughout the year, and they don't have a value for every day. You can read through here. Some of them are missing. So they take a sample of these values, daily sunspot numbers, average them all together, and that is the yearly mean total. It sounds like it's a yearly value. It's actually a daily value over all the days of the year of those number of sunspots. So as you'll see back here, you can plot those numbers. You can get a quick little plot. We'll end up plotting them, of course, as well. But there's a little plot from the website. You see on the scale about 250 to 200, and we can clearly see some sort of pattern there, maybe consistent or non-consistent period. We'll discuss that more later too. But if we come back over here again to the sunspot numbers, let's grab the data. So we'll come back to our page. And so click data sunspot number, total sunspot number. So here's data. We'll just count sunspot number and then total sunspot number. That's how we got there. And then from here, we'll say yearly mean total number of sunspots, choose CSV. So we'll come here and we'll say, oh, let's choose the CSV file. That looks good, boop. And then what we have here is the file sny tot v2.0.csv will be downloaded. We just saw that. save this file to a subdirectory. It just went to my downloads folder. The .csv file uses semicolon. I think it's always funny, they call it CSV, but that doesn't mean that the comma is the delimiter. And in this case, the delimiter is actually a semicolon. No problem, we can use read.csv and tell it this little, and give it this command here. In this, and if we do it like this, it's got to be in the second argument. This is SEP equals quote semicolon to talk about the separator, but we'll take that and come over here to R. So we've got some R, and we'll copy that command right about there and open that, come over here to downloads, and there it is sitting right for us. We'll grab that and we'll come back over here to our instructions. So now we have the data, it's been read into SS. And so the second of which columns contains the Sunspot data. So what we would like to do is turn it into a TS object as we've done before. And so in order to do that, we'll give it the second column. We'll tell it what the second column's first point is the starting date. And we will we'll tell it frequency of 1, meaning that every value is a year. And so we'll come here. Actually, I'm going to insert a little command here that I like to do is always look at the data first, make sure that it's been read in the way we think. And there is the mean number. This is the year starting in 1700. And this is the mean number over the year per day. So it's the mean number of sunspots per day over each year in 1700, 1701, so on and so forth. So if we take that, then we will have, we will come back over here once again and grab our TS code and drop that in, just like so. And just like that, we will have the Sunspot, what's known as the 2.0. Now you are a burgeoning expert in the Sunspot data and its revisions, and there they are. If you wanted to plot them real quick, we could library tswge and use plots wge and look at the Sunspot 2.0 number. That we put it in there as we just call that 2.0 Sunspot 2.0, and there is the data. So just like that, have a lot of fun with it. We're going to do a lot with this time series, or you can do a lot more with it on your own, but have a great time, and I'll see you in the next one. Good job.